it's a very interesting situation in that Red Bull squad. You have the sister team where the pace is genuine, the drivers are able to drive the car. And then you look at a Red Bull, and for me, to be very honest, I'm still pondering where exactly is that Red Bull car space. Is it somewhere in between, and Max is able to overdrive it, and Lawson's not able to drive it at all? Or is it somewhere in the top four? Is it somewhere lower? You really don't get an idea of it because Lawson's qualifying P18, P20, and Verstappen's putting it in the top four every single time. So that's a very interesting situation for them to figure in terms of driver lineup and also in terms of where the true pace of that car is.
It's a very interesting position to be in because Yuki's still saying Red Bull is the faster car, mind you. He's saying, I'm ready to take over it in Japan. And Liam Lawson has also said, I am excited to go to Japan. It's a track I really like, and I've driven there before. And clearly, Liam has not driven in Australia and China. But, more so what Red Bull would be looking at is not really just track performance, because, yes, that's what eventually is visible, but also how Liam is settling in, how Liam is sort of finding his way, trying to unlock his challenges in that Red Bull. And maybe that's where he's also not delivering as, the management would be expecting, because Liam Lawson said, I just need more time in the car, literally. And then he says, but I know I do not have more time in the car. And he emphasizes how narrow the window of operation in that Red Bull racing car is. And Sundaram, you made a very, very interesting point. It's so tough to say where Red Bull is because Max Verstappen is literally Alonso-esque. If we were to remember all the Alonso days,
Thank you.
from the Renault, from the early Ferrari days, outperforming that car. And I know, I mean, by outperforming the car, I don't mean he's defying laws of physics, but he's just taking that car so much to the edge of addition to the limit, and then bringing it back, controlling it, that it just seems like Max is able to pull off those couple of tenths when it matters.
But that's going to be a problem for them at a time when Max chooses to leave the team at some point, whenever he does choose to do so. Because then who do you bring in, and who's able to drive that car? Sure, you'll move the philosophy around those new drivers, but right at this point of time, you're putting all, what do you call it? Um, you're putting all your money on just one driver. And although he's delivering, the question is when he stops delivering or when he moves away, what are you going to do then? So that's a very difficult situation that they find themselves in at this point.
Yeah. Uh, what a wild situation it is for Red Bull Racing. I think we're deep in. We could be seeing lots of crazy things happening later on. Liam Lawson's demotion is also on the menu. It seems there are lots of reports coming out saying that Liam Lawson could already be demoted down to Red Bull Racing's junior team, VCARB, for the next race, which I don't want to buy. Get it? Sundaram, I remember we had like a proper hour-long podcast before we recorded a podcast on this exact same thing about Red Bull's legacy and the kind of problem that they're creating for when Max leaves. They surely won't. They surely won't demote Liam now, would they?
It'll be shambolic if they do so, because it's just been 2 races in, and at least from what I see is the fact that he's not able to hook up a single lap on that car. It's not a case of him not having the pace. That's a different question altogether. Once you're able to hook a lap together, once you're able to get past the challenges of wet weather or high tire degradation, it doesn't feel that he's at one with the car. Once he's able to do that, once he's able to hook these fast laps, then you can probably start comparing the pace difference between a Max and a Liam. Then that's a more better reading of where he stands. At this point, he's just really struggling. You look at free practice, you look at the sprint, he's been going off the track and really doing a lot of corrections. See, Australia and China are also very fast flowing tracks, and you can't really afford to do a lot of corrections as you go through a lap. So it's a very difficult situation for him. And if you're in a Red Bull, you obviously have a lot of focus on you. But I think people are being a little harsh on him, and I hope Red Bull don't do the same.
Red Bull have gone from mid-season changes to early season changes. Third race of the season is not a mid-season. I don't know where I got thrown out. Yes, I froze. It's actually not too cold here in Oslo today. But Liam said he needs time. And he doesn't get that time in the car. And Sundaram, you explained it very nicely. He's probably not hooked up too many quick laps to make a valid comparison. And then Red Bull clearly is wondering where their car actually is, because yes, on one hand, they've got a number 2 driver problem. But if they do not give a car to Max, which he can go battling with, they're soon going to have a number one driver problem as well. And Helmut Marko's been very vocal about this. In fact, now that this rumor is coming, I'll try and see if we can get him again on the podcast at some point to talk about what's actually happening with Liam as well. But interesting times ahead in the world of Formula One.